This is Chicago's very own WGN Morning News at 9.
On this historic morning, we're looking at some of the other angles in the presidential election, like money. How are the markets reacting to our new president-elect? And how about taxes?
Here's a look at the stocks. The Dow is up 15 points. The market plunged overnight ahead of the Donald Trump victory. The Dow briefly dropped more than 800 points. And now that Trump has won, we're looking at how his victory is affecting the financial markets.
Well, Craig Bolanos of Wealth Management Group is here. Thanks for being with us. Did I pronounce your name right?
Close enough, Bolanos.
But
hey, you know, everything's crazy this morning, so forgive me.
Tomato.
Okay. Yeah,
we'll get it right next time.
So tell us, you know, we saw Dow futures go down overnight. They kind of ended up down about 300 points this morning. It's about even, right?
Well, yeah, in fact, you know, I'm happy you pointed that out. What an emotional roller coaster ride. I'm sitting there having dinner, and we're looking at a continuation of a third day of rally. Monday for Clinton, Tuesday for Clinton, and early on, I think everybody believed Clinton was going to win. Dow's up 200 points. Next thing you know, Virginia, Florida, North Carolina, they declare Ohio for Trump. Dow down over 800 points in the after hours
market. Is that just uncertainty about what's, you know, what his policies are, or why do you think it's the market reacts that way?
Well, yeah, I think what happens is, you know, there's different investors in the market. There's investors, there's traders, and there's speculators. And this is another case where traders and speculators got caught flat-footed. This is Brexit all over again, but happening right here in the USA.
Some people might say that a trade war is coming if Trump gets his way. Is that something that financial people like yourself would look forward to?
Well, you know, I certainly don't look forward to any type of war, especially a trade war. And what I recognize is there was a tremendous amount of protectionist type rhetoric during this campaign trail. But I think what we always see in these elections is candidates who run on a platform and then they become much more centrist after inauguration. And I don't think...
But this was everything. This is how he took the Rust Belt, trade, right? You're saying he's going to dial that back?
I think he's going to dial it back, not because he wants to dial it back, but he is going to have to work with a Congress. Now, it's a Congress that's going to be supportive of him. I mean, the Senate is Republican. The House is Republican. There's 30 governors that are Republican, but you are not going to move the needle overnight. The pace of change in Washington is still going to be incremental.
It's interesting to see what stocks react right away to these things. So you say that Caterpillar is up big initially. Why is that?
Well, Caterpillar's up huge because, if anything, both of these candidates said they were going to do infrastructure, infrastructure, infrastructure. And if I'm thinking to myself, what could be more infrastructure than big yellow earth-moving machines based in Peoria, Illinois? Caterpillar.
And also the possibility of building that wall that Donald Trump talks about, or no?
You know what? Whether the wall gets built or not, I am not going to speculate on, but certainly if you take a look at the Mexican peso, down against the dollar, huge today. Yeah, you have to start looking at those possibilities.
Was there a feeling among, again, getting back to the Rust Belt, that, you know, manufacturing isn't flourishing in America the way it should because of all these deals, but some people think manufacturing is gone in America. This is not the 1950s. We're about software and we're about finance. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that's a big issue. I mean, Trump has said he is bringing jobs back to America, right?
Yeah.
He is going to put the American worker back into the factory. But we're up against this changing motif where a lot of those jobs, not just the jobs that have been outsourced, but the jobs we still have today, a lot of them are going to be replaced by what? Machines, robotics. That's just a natural event. But I do think the opportunity to have a lower corporate tax rate, the opportunity to repatriate billions, if not trillions of dollars back into the United States is going to create some incremental jobs.
What about bonds? People, when they're worried about things, does that mean people buy more bonds, or where? I don't know. I'm just guessing.
No,
I don't know
that is great. We talk about a classic risk-on, risk-off trades. And I think what everybody was set up for was a risk-off trade, where if Donald Trump was elected, you'd see the Dow plummet, you would see gold rally, you would see bond prices rally in this flock to safety. And guess what? We're not seeing that this morning. We're seeing gold up marginally, percent and a half, changing by the minute, but we're actually seeing some money come out of the high-quality bond market.
As an investor...
I was trying to act like I knew what that was.
No, you're just not.
Like,
sure.
Oh.
You're just not. agree, Robin. It's okay. Say yes.
I'm trying my best here to Trump, and I'm like, this is not my.
So Trump, wants to lower the tax rates for everybody. It's back to the trickle down economics, and that certainly is an economic philosophy. During the Reagan administration, he ultimately had to raise taxes.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about where this is going for the average person and what's in their wallet?
Well, let's break down what you said. So his platform has been, we're going to compress 7 brackets down into 3, which means everybody should save some dollars. That being said, I think if you look at the makeup that's in Congress, even though it's Republican, there are players in Congress that are going to want things revenue neutral. They're not going to say, hey, you can't just spend wildly without figuring out how to pay for it. So there is going to have to be some changes in the tax code still.
Lastly, a lot of people worry, are they going to touch Medicare? Are they going to touch Social Security? You think that's unchanged?
The entitlement programs are the third rail in politics. But if you really look, I think, at what's going to happen, we're going to focus on what? Trade, immigration, deregulation. I think that's what this country is going to first step foot forth, and I don't think we're going to see changes to the entitlement program right away, but with Paul Ryan in office, they may want to address it later on down the pipe.
Inflation's supposed to go up soon?
I think you are seeing today, Robin asked a fantastic question.
Thank you.
She did. She goes, what about this bond market? Shouldn't people be buying bonds?
Someone told me to ask that.
Someone told you to ask that? Some very smart person told you to ask that.
He's right over there.
Okay. And isn't it ironic, though? Let me answer this, Robin. Usually a flight to quality means people buy bonds.
Right.
But the enemy of bonds is inflation and interest rates. And right now, with Donald Trump in office, there is money coming out of the bond market today because people see some inflationary pressure. Inflationary pressure in particular in the form of wage pressure to come.
All right.
All right. Thanks so much for being here, Craig.
Thank you for inviting
Good to
me.
see you.
Craig.